All right, Pickle. It's time to talk a little college football from the past weekend. There were, of course, a whole slate of college football games across the state. Week 3 of college football across the state of Texas. And so what we want to do, the way we want to recap, of course, if you want complete recap, I have to recommend Republic of Football. They put out a podcast every Wednesday live and then Sunday recorded.
Do we have to recommend it?
But you should subscribe to it and then tell them how much they stink.
There we go.
Like tweet at Craven Mike and be like, your podcast is stinky.
Yes. Please do that.
And to quit moving the stuff for TFT. Anyway, all that's to say, if you want a full, rooter to tutor recap of the college football weekend, the Republic of Football boys and girls have you covered. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what I think were the 5 biggest moments of the college football weekend. Okay? The 5 biggest moments of the college football weekend. Sound good to you?
Sounds good to me.
Let's start with number 5.
27-21.
But it's that Ari.
3rd down and goal at the 2. In the backfield, it is Broussard. Philippian, there's the tight end blocking the handoff. Broussard shedding a tackler to the right, and he gets in right side. Touchdown, Rice Owls. Touchdown, Ari Broussard. 2 yards out. The Owls go up 12. What a job by Broussard. He shed both Moncrief and Amos as the fireworks go off from the top of the Patterson Center right now. It's not over, but the Owls go up by 12.
Yeah, Ari did a lot of that on his own. That was a great run that time. And look, the offensive line, all they got to do is just give him a little bit of a crease, and he'll do the rest of it on his own. Congratulations, Ari. Finally got that touchdown tonight, and I think that's his first one.
JP Heath and Nate Griffin on the call for
Very cool.
Owls radio network. I couldn't find video of it, and that's fine. They had the whole booth cam up on.
I love the booth cam. I think booth cam is fun.
So, and that is Rice's what ended up being game-sealing touchdown for Ari Broussard against Louisiana. That is a pretty monumental win for Rice. I would say it's their biggest win. I mean,
no. Well, the Marshall win.
The Marshall
was
win.
huge
It's
on
certainly
the road.
since then, but the Marshall win didn't get them anywhere. It
No,
was so
it didn't.
late in the season that it didn't get them anywhere.
It was more just shocking from a Marshall perspective
Yes.
than impressive by Rice.
But this is also, for me, this is important. An important win because you're getting a little bit of that. I hate the word momentum, but you're getting that momentum early. Do you know what I mean?
Especially before you are about to go play in your hometown still in Houston against the Cougars squad who's not looking good.
A reeling Houston team. We'll get to them in a bit. But this was impressive, and that particular play is important because Rice takes over with about 8 minutes left in the game. About 8 minutes left in the game. They get the ball, and Louisiana's just scored to close the gap to 27-21. Okay? And as somebody who's watched a lot of Rice football, let me tell you, that tends to be bad news for Rice. At that moment, that's when things tend to go a little bit sideways for them. And so there's every reason to believe that things are not going to go well for them at that point. But instead, Rice marches on an 11-play, 70-yard drive that eats up, it was 11 plays, 70 yards, that eats up 6:14 and
awesome.
Ends in that touchdown.
Outstanding.
And that is your dagger. Because you go up by 13 points at that point, ends up being the difference, the final score, basically. And
you're
by
running out
12
the
rather.
clock.
It's 33-21. And that's the ball game.
Yeah, they were in control of the game
Yes.
at that point, which is not something that they had
Correct.
experienced
At
often.
that point, there was less than 3 minutes to go. You're up by 2 scores.
You need
You
one
sealed
stop.
it. That was a game-sealing drive from Rice, and it was impressive to see. And hopefully, that continues to be the norm for the Owls. Big win for them. Number 4.
The Houston wide receiver being taken out of the game by his teammates.
That's going to, if that end up costing Houston, Dana Holgerson is going to be one livid man. Because those are the things that have plagued this team, the dumb penalties.
Oh, look at this. Brown just got shoved to the ground by one of his teammates.
Number 3, offense. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 13, defense. Excuse me, number 3 on the defense, number 13 on the offense. There is no penalty yardage. The penalty yardage cancels. That is both players' first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game. It's second down.
Mello Dotson and Sam Brown and one of Brown's teammates came over to the sideline. It looked like it may have been Joseph Manjack IV to push his teammate down.
Yeah, its teammates were not happy that he would even put himself in that situation. Lucky that it got negated and it was offset.
Tempers flare on the Houston sideline during their loss to Kansas. And this is early in the game. I mean, it's only 28-14 at that point. Like it's and by the way, look where they are. They're in the red zone. They're about to score. But that was indicative of what felt like a really bad week for Houston. Really bad week. And Joseph Manjack goes over there and shoves Sam Brown. They were on the ground. They had to be separated. And I'll be honest, my initial reaction, that's what teams without leadership do. Mm-hmm. We can talk about whether that comes from within the program, within the team, or whether it comes from the coaching staff. But that's what happens whenever you don't have leadership. That is, I mean, it's embarrassing for Houston. And I mean, look, put aside the fact they lost to Houston, to Kansas. I think Kansas has improved. Like, losing to Kansas is no longer like the joke that used to be. They're 3-0, right? It's no longer the joke that it used to be. Like, don't get any ideas, Texas. But it's no longer the joke that it used to be. That said, the way that it happened and how Houston appeared to more or less, especially like in key moments, come apart at the seams, that to me is a bigger problem for them going forward. That they can fix some schematic things. They can get better on the defensive line. They can the secondary can step up, right? Things like that. Like, they can run the ball a little better. If that is going to be the norm within the Houston program, forget everything else. They're already out of the college football playoff conversation. You can remove them from any sort of contention conversation.
Well, and the frustrating part about
that's rat poison.
They were doing fine until, I mean, the weather was really bad. You kind of go up 14. They were up at one point, and then they tie it 14-14, and then they have a really long lightning delay, and then after that, it's when everything fell apart. And that, in a time where you're in the locker room waiting for a weather delay, should be when you're game planning and you're figuring it out, not falling apart and pushing your other teammate down.
Yeah. It's super disappointing, I thought, from Houston. And that, I think, is indicative of some bigger issues going on there at Houston. Number 3.
Not a smart play there by Mordecai. Selden. Mordecai. Picked off, heading the other way. Maryland's got it. Maryland has the football. Dante Trader. Second interception thrown by Mordecai.
Tanner Mordecai throws a pick there and allows Maryland to complete their comeback. SMU was in control of this game at multiple points. At halftime, I mean, they score on the final play of the half, right? Score on the final play of the half and go up 27-17, right? They're up 27, or I'm sorry, they go up 27-20, I should say, in the third quarter. And then and then they get like a fumble, right? They score up 27-20, and then first play after they kick a field or they score a touchdown, they get a fumble, right? And they get the ball. Right at the 46, right? The 46, their own 46. Like, okay, this is the chance where you can go and you can really drive the dagger. Instead, Houston or SMU's next possessions, ready? Missed field goal, interception, downs, ball game. They had an opportunity to put that game away. Tanner Mordecai got loose with the football. They made mistakes down the stretch, and they coughed it up. This is a winnable game for them. I know it's on the road at a Big Ten opponent, but this is a winnable game for SMU, and they let it slip because they got sloppy down the stretch. They had an opportunity, and they let it slip. That after I mean, it should have been over at that point. You get the ball up 7 in good field position, you can drive the dagger there. And instead, they don't score again, and they turn the ball over and allow Maryland to come back. I thought that was pretty disappointing from SMU. Number 2.
No wins against the AP Top 25. High throw and picked off. Jahdae Barron taking it all the way back. one that got away.
Big-time game, big-time player trying to show what he can do.
Jahdae Barron's pick six really sparks Texas's win over UTSA. You know, UTSA was the aggressor in this game, especially in the first half.
Oh, yeah. They showed up, and Jeff Traylor was like, we're not scared of y'all.
No, they were not scared. That opening drive, let me make sure I get this right. That opening drive was something along the lines of, I mean, it was like a 17-play drive or something that ate up essentially like the entire first quarter.
Did you see the insane touchdown that put them up 17 to I think 7 that it was? It hit off the defender's hands and fell in. It was awesome.
But in the second half, Texas took control, and a lot of it was they kept feeding Bijan Robinson. Good idea. Keep doing that.
Should probably keep doing that.
And their defense capitalized on mistakes. And that was, you know, against Alabama. Alabama made some mistakes, and you can make the argument that Texas didn't capitalize enough off of them and allowed them to hang around, right? This was an opportunity where they capitalized on mistakes by UTSA and ended up pulling away for a victory. They won by 21. That was probably not a 21-point game, but they won by 21. But in the end, that's what, if you're a better team, you're supposed to do, especially at home. And that's what Texas did.
Yeah, UTSA did exactly what everyone wanted them to do. They made it a very, very fun first half to watch.
100%. But then Texas took command the second half in large part, and that was really the backbreaker, Jahdae Barron's pick six, because Texas had just taken their first lead of the game. But that leaves number one.
Smith goes in motion. Johnson looks for A-Chain out of the backfield, breaks a tackle. Devon A-Chain still running. He'll score.
Devon A-Chain's 25-yard touchdown catch and run to, well, it ended up being the last points that A&M scored. But they pull out a 17-9 win over A&M or over Miami. And here's the thing about that. Here's the thing that I think, and the reason I chose this play. The reason I chose this play is that it's become pretty clear now that this is the way that Texas A&M is going to have to win. They're going to have to find a way to get the ball to Devon A-Chain and then Aeneas Smith, really, in space and let them make plays. Because there's not any downfield passing attack.
No.
We can talk about why that is, but there's no downfield passing attack.
Yeah, the offense, other than those two, does not look good.
No, it doesn't. But it's a narrow path to walk, right? There's not a lot of options if things go sideways. But you can win this way because your defense is certainly good enough to hold you in any game. Then it's going to be up to those two guys making plays. And I know they were without Evan Stewart. I don't know if they're going to push the ball down the field because you do have other receivers, but there was they didn't have a completion past 10 yards in this game. This was a at least throwing the ball down the field 10 yards. 10 air yards, I should say. But that's what's going to be, because if you take a look at this at the way that they scored, short fields, penalties really hurt Miami, and they took advantage. For A&M, they're gonna I think I have a pretty decent feel on what A&M's offense is at this point, which is pretty limited.
Very one-dimensional.
But they've got a couple of playmakers that are able to break big plays, and they have to capitalize. Against Miami, they capitalized. The defense held them in it. The defense was really strong for the most part. Miami made some mistakes, but in the end, they did force a number of those mistakes. If you're A&M, there's a narrow path to walk for the rest of the season.
You just can't get in any shootouts.
But
they're not going to win a shootout.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you got to keep everyone under 30.
30, yeah, because if
you're
get
not
anywhere past that, you're not.
This A&M offense does not appear to be capable of scoring more than about 28.
No, because you're not going to be able. Also, time starts being an issue at that point because you don't have the explosive power unless a chain busts one real quick. Like there's just you don't have the deep threat.
Anyway, there it is. Number one play of the week. Devon A-Chain's touchdown to put A&M up 17-3 en route to their victory over Miami.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.